Hello class, this is Dr. Rosie, and as you know, I am your creative writing instructor. This is a introduction to week 2 where we will be discussing point of view. Make sure you read the chapter in the text because it will help as we approach the creation of our work. So as we begin to consider what point of view is, don't get confused and don't get bogged down by all the different definitions, because specifically it's all about the narrator's point of view. Okay, it is the person that is telling us what is happening. It's not at the word. It's not about the words in the dialogue. It's more or less who is doing the narration. So there's 3 points of view. The first one is first person, the second is second person, and the third is third person. Now, the first person point of view is probably the easiest to write. The narrator is in the story, and the narrator refers to himself or herself, and typically the words that are used in the work will be I, me, we, us, our, my. And this is really the easiest way to write anything because you're literally in the story telling the story to others. It's what we do on a daily basis when we gossip, when we talk about a TV show we watched last night, when we talk about a game that we were at or that we watched on TV or listened to on the radio. We're in it and we're telling others about how we felt, what we saw, what we think might happen next. So here's a perfect example of point of view. Example from Percy Jackson. Look, I didn't want to be a half-blood. You notice that I is bold. If you're reading this because you think you might be one, my advice is close the book right now. Believe whatever lie your mom or dad told you about your birth. Try to live a normal life. So here we go. My. So my name is Percy Jackson. I am 12 years old. Until a few months ago, I was a boarding student at Yancey Academy, private school for troubled kids in upstate New York. Am I a troubled kid? Yeah, you could say that. So, in other words, Percy Jackson is telling the story, and we know that because we see the first person words. I, my, I'm, I. So I hope that makes sense. Now, second person is never used in literature. It's when the narrator says you and puts the reader directly into the story. So we won't even discuss this one, but I did want to just touch on it to let you know that it does exist. Now, the third person point of view is the narrator is telling a story about other people. So the narrator is now not in the story. The narrator is telling the story from his or her point of view. And now the narrator will use words like he, she, him, her, they, them, their, and characters' names, of course. And of course, there's more. There's 3 types of third-person narrators. It's the omniscient, the limited, and the objective. Now, the omniscient narrator is a narrator who knows everything that needs to be known about the characters and events in a story, and who has privileged access to a character's thoughts, feelings, and motives. So the narrator never says maybe or perhaps a character feels something, because the omniscient narrator knows all. He or she knows the character. He or she has developed the character. The omniscient narrator knows exactly what is going to happen, what should happen, what could happen. So they are all-knowing. Now, the limited narrator is one who is confined to what is experienced, thought, or felt by a single character, or at most a limited number of characters. And they don't seem to be very sure what every character is feeling. This one is a little bit more difficult to use, to write. So my suggestion is to try to stick with the omniscient narrator or the objective narrator. Now, the objective narrator, I like this guy's big ear. He can tell you only what can be seen or heard. Okay, that's what the big ear is about, and the one eye. Okay, we are all objective observers. We can tell others what we see or feel. We can guess someone's thoughts, but we cannot know what they are thinking unless they tell us. For our purposes, stick to the omniscient, because I really feel like that's easier to write, and you actually have more fun with the omniscient because you're all knowing at that point. Okay, so here we go. Let's try to guess the narrator. Lily shivered and sobbed while sitting alone under the tree. Jacob felt a pang of pity for her, and though he worried about what the others might say, he walked to her, sat beside her, and offered her his jacket. So what do you think? Correct. It's limited. Here's another one. Lily shivered and sobbed while sitting alone under the tree. Jacob gazed at her with a stare suggestive of pity, and his lips tightened as though he debated something of importance. He gave one timid glance back at others. Then he walked boldly over to Lily and sat beside her and offered her his jacket. What do you think? What do you think? Yes, objective. The final one. Lily shivered and tried unsuccessfully not to sob while sitting alone under the tree. She was more embarrassed and miserable than she had ever been. Jacob felt a pang of pity for her, and though he worried about what the others might say, he walked to her, sat beside her, and offered her his jacket. Correct. Omniscient. All right, so I want to tie this into what the assignment is about this week. So there's only one this week, and that's because there are many parts to this. So, and I want you to concentrate on this because I think this is a really cool assignment. So the first step is to choose one. Did everybody hear me? One of the scenarios below. You can do the wedding rehearsal dinner, the two roommates cooking dinner, a landlord or landlady telling a tenant the rent will be increasing, a dating couple, one has received a promotion which will require moving to another state, and two old friends, one who owes the other a significant amount of money. Now, once you choose one of those, then you move to step 2. Identify a single incident or event in the scenario and start your story when the people meet and end your story when they part. So I don't want to know what happened before. I don't want to know what happened after. I want you to stay in the moment. I want you to pick that incident and then tell the story and then end the story as the two walk away. Now remember to identify what each of your characters wants, needs, or expects in your scenario. Because it's important that you do that, because if you don't do that, then you won't be able to develop the story properly. Now that you've got this angle, now what you're going to do is actually do the writing. The first paragraph of about 150 words, I want you to label it first person, and then underneath first person, I want you to write the event in the first person from the point of view from your main character. The next step, you're going to label this third person. You're going to write 150 words, and you're going to write the event, write the incident in the third person. Now finally, the last paragraph, you're going to label this the other character. Again, write about 150 words, and you're going to write the scene from the other character's point of view. Now, this may be in the first or the third person. Up to you how you want to approach this. So remember now that the final product is going to be 3 separate paragraphs. It's not one whole mumbo jumbo. Make sure that you're labeling each paragraph first person, third person, other character. Write about 150 words for each one, and your assignment will be done. The end. I want to thank the Roselle Schools because a friend of mine sent this to me. I've got friends all over the world, I think, and a friend of mine sent this to me, and their school kind of developed this, so I am borrowing it, but I'm giving them credit for it because otherwise, what would it be? Plagiarism. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and good luck on your assignment.